All right, welcome back, YouTube. So I want to start this video by pointing out that if you've been watching the last few videos, we've been talking about this zone where we are now, and you'll know how powerful and how important it is for us to, maintain this zone, or not even just to maintain it, but really how we're on the cusp of breaking out here and going to retest this cycle high. And I think that this is a very important matter here, and I'm really glad that we were able to kind of chart this out and give everyone an idea of what to expect. So if you're wondering here, we're talking about this 40 to 42 cent zone here. This is where, if you can actually take a look here at this dotted green line where we are now, this is this big green candle here. This is where we've gotten the majority of our rejections here to go retest this 48 cents mark, right? This is where we've seen rejections or even closing candles here as far back as November of last year, right? This has been the battleground for Dogecoin. This is very important, right? So a few things that we're going to look for to get an idea of when this breakout is going to happen. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that this particular green candle has to be the one to do it, right? We could close right here and Dogecoin had a good day, right? We can get some smaller candles here to do like a retest, something similar to what we've seen here, because honestly, most of the time we were able to bounce around this area or get pushed down from this area. It was smaller volume. Now, I am excited about this candle here. If we're able to do it here and break above this here with this kind of force and break above it with conviction, I do think that it would be better. But there are a few indicators that we can look for to kind of co-witness with this price action to give us an idea of the strength of this movement. And that's really what we're trying to gauge here, because once we get above here, we enter another gap zone. Because if honestly, like today, for example, if we broke above here and these gaps to the upside filled, then now we're talking about like a God candle here up to around 48 cents. So this would literally be a run from 37 to about 48 cents, right? And that would be a 10 cents jump in one day. And that would probably have me a little concerned here, because that's the type of price action swings that we saw around peak in was it 2021. So those are some of the things that we know, like on the channel here, we're big on the stair steps and not the rocket ships, because those gaps start to fill either way, because technically that's what we're benefiting from now. People like the gap ups, but what we're benefiting from is these gaps down that we had back in December, right? And the gap up that we had in November. So we're just, benefiting from that zone, and we're coming back into here now. So if you're talking about price stability and long term, you want a slower approach. So especially this early in the game, if we're talking about Doge getting to like $1 or something like that, $1.40, like we've talked about, we don't want the 10-cent jumps right now, right? So that's something we're going to look for. Now, an indicator that we're going to be looking for here is obviously we're going to look here at the moving averages. We have the 14, which is this yellow line here, the 72, which is this orange line. So with this kind of price action and us hovering up here, if we stay around this price action here, these prices, we're going to get this to co-witness with this movement, right? We're going to get the 14 crossing the 72, which is giving us a golden cross to the upside, right? So that is at these prices, that's certainly going to happen. That will be a co-witnessing factor here. The strength of the movement here around what happens with if there's a rejection here, or if we're able to get if it's a significant push down from the 42 cents level, that's something we're going to have to wait until after the candle closes. But I do believe that's an important factor here to kind of gauge with that. We're going to take a look at some pools of liquidity and shorts and longs here in a moment to see what the price action looks like and the volume to kind of get some more co-witnesses. But we're on a good trajectory here to kind of get this move up. Obviously, we saw the run last night. If you're in my Discord, we were up sending messages last night about the breakout from Bitcoin. So typically you'll see that run from Bitcoin, and then the pools of the liquidity will come into the market, and you'll see it reflected in other coins. So we knew that like some of these other coins were on the roster to have this run. And we got that break. We were talking about the channel of it trading in between the 72 and the 14. It used the 14 as support for a couple of days, and now we have this run here. So we're looking at, so again here, this is filling a gap. This is a gap zone here from back in December 18th to be specific. This is a gap zone. Bitcoin, how Bitcoin handles this 105 is going to be very important. But we've seen the 102 mark, which is what we've talked about. If you watch some of the previous videos, we're talking about breaking above like that 102,000 mark, which we did. Closing, I'm interested to see where this candle closes, but it's looking like we're going to close above it, which is a very strong signal. So we close above the 102 here. Then ultimately we're looking for the volume and to retest this all-time high here, because obviously breaking above it with conviction and shooting over it by by 2,600 roughly. That's certainly going to be enough force here to, as long as we close above it on the daily here, I think we'll be fine. And we'll be ultimately looking to retest some of these higher levels here, like that around that 108, because we were starting to get strong pushback starting at around 105, which Bitcoin hit today. We hit 105, and in true Bitcoin fashion, around the 16th and the 17th, when we were last here, that's what was happening, right? That's when a lot of the pushback, a lot of the sell orders came in, and we quite weren't able to recover from it, because we got a big push on the 17th, but we also got a push down. And then, of course, that's when we had that major sell-off here off of that rejection. And then we went below the 14-day. So breaking above this here, I will say that to the upside above the 100,000 mark, this is the strongest candle we've gotten, period, right? Above the 100,000 mark, right? So that 100 to 105, that roughly 5,950, basically like that $6,000 push upward. That was the strongest positive candle we've had above the 100K mark. So the only one that would come close would be that one that we went from 106 down to 100. So we're literally filling the gap here that we've seen back on the 18th. So that's the strongest positive candle we've gotten. So I want to see us close above the 102, even if we started to regress a little bit back down to 103. I think if we can hold above the 102, that's going to put us within striking distance to retest the all-time high here, and that's going to be a big factor to determine how soon we're going to break new highs in the market, and how much more liquidity that we're going to have come in. So I think that's going to be a very telling factor here. Let's take a look at coin market cap here. Overall, we're up about 4.5% in total market cap, 3.68 trillion. We are almost in the green here. Definitely a bump up on the fear greed index. Bitcoin dominates 56.58%. Sea of green here for sea of green here for the top 10 for sure. It's on the 7-day. Looks like 24 hours. We're doing really well here. Dogecoin up 24.03% on the 7-day. 8.79% on the 24-hour. I want to say, yeah, Dogecoin in the last 24 hours is the top gainer. So I'll let you know something. Let's check on XRP. XRP is down. Well, XRP had a run earlier. So XRP, I believe XRP hit $3 yesterday. So, but overall in a week, obviously it's up 39.05%. So nothing to sneeze at here, even though it's down on the 24. So quite naturally, people are going to be taking profits here, especially if the rest of the market is now running. Ethereum and Bitcoin are now tied on the 24 roughly. So ultimately, this is where we're looking for. We're looking for that stability here in the price action for Bitcoin, to see if we're going to hold or if it's going to get that gap to push back down. But ultimately, like we talked about, if it closes in a pretty decent spot, which is I believe above 102, I believe we're in a really good point to make some tests here and ultimately see some new pops here in the market, and move up some of this charting that we've talked about. Obviously for Bitcoin, that's going to be charting new territory, and for Doge, we're going to have to expand some of these lines here and get some new pools of liquidity and points of resistance, and draw out some correlations here to kind of get a roadmap for what to expect going forward. So let's take a look here at some of these shorts and longs for Doge. So right here, we see the shorts are getting absolutely wrecked here. They came out about liquidations were about 2-to-1, basically, for the last 24 hours. So again, not all inclusive, but we have exchanges like OKX, Binance, and Bybit, which is to be expected with this kind of price action here. Like if you were shorting Doge yesterday or the day before, you definitely got spanked here. Let's see statistics here. Shorts versus long, they're piling in obviously on the shorter time frames because they are trying to get Doge to go back the other way. So you'll see this spike here. Notice how shorts in the short time frames have jumped about 3% compared to the day. So yesterday, in 24 hours, roughly 3-to-1, 74 to 25.82. So 3-to-1 normal day here. And notice how on the shorter time frames, they're aggressively shorting Dogecoin to try and get it to go back down. So if you're looking at the 4-hour, 1 hour, 30-minute, 5-minute, for those of you that are just listening, we're talking about a jump from in the 4-hour to the 1 day. We're talking about a jump of around like 2.6% or something like that. 72.23 long, 27.77 short compared to 25.82, right? And then look how it gets more aggressive progressively. On the 1 hour, 71.90 long, 28.11 short. All right, 30-minute, 71.95. Those are buys kind of pushing back to 28.05. But on the 5-minute, look at this here, 71.66 to 28.34. So that gain there again, right? So nearing 30% in shorts here because of the price action that we just seen here. But again, open interest, 13.74%. 2.5 billion. Again, I'm looking for around 4 billion. I want us to get back to some of those numbers that we saw in Q4 of last year. That's going to be another co-witnessing factor that I'm looking for us as far as for strength of the movement and us to retest some of these cycle highs. Those are some of the numbers that I'm looking for to align with the indicators that we were just charting for Dogecoin. So, but again, 13.74% on the day. Most of this is coming from Binance, obviously. Let's see. 2.4 billion. This is when we were around, let's see. 1, 2, this January, we'll go a little farther back. Here we go. December. What was this, around Christmas Eve? No, December 6th, 7th. So yeah, we were around 3.7 billion. Around there, let's see, 3.75. This is in November. These are the highs that I'm looking for. I'm looking to get back to these points. And that's going to be a major co-witnessing factor is open interest getting back up to those levels compared to where we are now. So we're at 2.15 billion now. So we're getting there, but we'll certainly start looking at these indicators more. I'll say, especially once we get across that 3 billion mark for open interest. So like another 500 million into open interest here. And we'll open up that discussion here because that puts us, closing in on some of those percentages and those numbers that we've seen around late Q4 of last year. And that's going to be a major co-witnessing factor to get the idea of the strength of the movement here so that we can line all of these up and get some great probabilities of us breaking above the current cycle highs, and then how much, because if we start to see things, let's say like a 4.5 billion on open interest, and we got the golden cross, and we got this conviction in the candles here, now we can start moving those lines up and say, hey, look, this movement here, we're going to blow through this zone, because Dogecoin is good for that. When it's on a roll, it blows through previous resistance points, right? Doge has been known to do that. It's just because it's like, let's say, for example, a resistance point at 55 cents. Doge has been known to push through resistance points, especially when things are rolling here, and just simply go to the next one. So it's not out of the question. So that's something that we're going to look for. That's why I want to look at this to kind of gauge the strength of the movement. So overall, great call on our part. We got it 100% correct here as far as where we're consolidating and the important zones here that we need to move up. If you like that call and want some more information and you value the information that you've seen thus far, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, share it with a friend, and I will see you guys in the next one.